Look who's here now, Christian Whiton. Is this thing going to turn ugly, Christian?
Well, Stu, I think it already is, but maybe in a good way. I do. You know, I think it's important. This sounds mean, but for the Europeans to understand their place. And they keep lecturing us that they're our best allies. You know, I was in the State Department when Iraq and Afghanistan were in crisis, and I was back at Trump 1. And the idea that the Europeans, especially France, Germany, and these others, the Danes, are going to be of great help to the challenges of today, especially China or even Russia outside of Ukraine, it's limited. And they just don't understand what their place is in the world. You had Steve Forbes on earlier talking about their decline. You know, back around the turn of the century, it really mattered what France, Germany, and London thought. And today, it's just less so because of the decisions they have made.
What do the islanders? I think there's 57,000 Greenlanders. What do they want?
It's a good question. No one seems to have really asked them. I mean, they do have their leader who came over with the Danish foreign minister who says he's against this. But I think if we go and present a reasonable plan, something like an Alaska-style trust fund where they can benefit from royalties from oil, gas, and minerals, and it can be backstopped. It can say that every family, of which there are probably only 20,000, will have at least $1 million in this account in 5 or 10 years after reunion with the United States. And that's a way to entice them instead of coerce them.
That would work, wouldn't it?
I think it would be a different, and you know, that combined with the, oh, by the way, we're coming in. You could also just isolate the few towns where people live and say, okay, well, that's still Denmark, but we're taking the rest for military reasons.
You think this is doable? I mean, there'll be opposition here and there, okay, but you think eventually we get control of Greenland?
There will be an American Greenland by the end of the Trump administration, I believe firmly.
How about that? I'm going to change the subject for a second. President Trump says it's time to look for new leadership in Iran. The mullahs, they're admitting that more than 5,000 people were indeed killed for speaking out. It seems to me that the killing has stopped and the demonstrations have stopped. It's like a stalemate at the moment. Is there anybody there who would take over from Khomeini and the mullahs?
I think so. The protests have died a little. The killing has stopped, I think, because of Trump's very strong threat about that. There are a couple of contenders. There's the son of the Shah. Then there's a group called the MEK, which people in Washington seem to hate, which I think is to their credit. They are against restoring the monarchy. They say that they're useful idiots of the regime. If you look at what happened in 1989 in Central Europe, 91 in Russia, I think that some protest leaders may emerge if we can keep those people alive through the threat of U.S. force. And it's not just military force. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, threatened economic power, says, look, we're watching all of this money that's being wired out of Iran, and we're going to do something about it. And, you know, we should look at it not as a point in time, but as something that may go on for months or years and just keep the pressure on.
I want you to give me 30 seconds on this huge embassy that the Chinese want to open in London, and the British are going to let them do it, right? It's a spy center.
That's right. It's going to be, I believe, the biggest Chinese embassy everywhere. The only purpose for something that large is espionage, electronic and otherwise. The Labour government, highly unpopular, is going to let it. They're not even going to try and get something symbolic in exchange for this giveaway, like the release of Jimmy Lai, who is a British national being held in Hong Kong. Well, they say they're trying, but they're not trying. And they're going to go, Pierce Starmer is going to go to Beijing and supplicate, come away with virtually nothing.
I'm glad you told me about that, because that's not news yet. It will be. Thanks so much for joining us, Christian. We always like it. Thank you very much. All right, Russia